DevilNeverCry.
What is up, everybody? It is me, DevilNeverCry, and we are here with a quick fire guide for Elden Ring. In this video, we're going to go over each of the attributes and what they do, as well as the starting classes. This video is aimed at beginners, so we're going to keep things quite simple. Without further ado, let's dive right in. First up are attributes, better known as character statistics. There are 8 of these in total, and you'll be using runes dropped from dead enemies to upgrade these statistics every time you level up. Those of you who have played a Souls game or Bloodborne before will be quite familiar with these statistics. What's important to note, and what you're going to find out very soon, is that each of these attributes can affect more than one statistic. For example, upgrading the VIGOR attribute will affect the total amount of health your character has, but as a secondary effect, it'll also affect your fire and poison resistance. Up next is the mind attribute. Upgrading this attribute in particular increases the amount of focus points your character has, which is important because focus points are what's used when casting magic and sorcery. As an added effect, increasing the mind attribute also increases your focus resistance, which is the specific resistances to ailments such as sleep and madness. Basically, the higher this number, the lower the chance of you succumbing to one of these ailments. The next attribute, and quite an important one at that, is endurance. Endurance affects not only the amount of stamina your character has, but your overall defense and maximum equip load. What's important, of course, is stamina, because stamina is a resource that is used for pretty much almost any action in this game when it comes to attacking, running, blocking, or even dodging. Moving on, we have the strength attribute. This, of course, is important for those going for strength builds for a couple of reasons. Certain pieces of equipment, like weapons and armor, will need a minimum amount of strength before you're able to use them effectively. Not only that, but if the weapon you're using currently scales with the strength stat, by increasing the strength attribute, the attack power of that weapon will also increase. And as an added logical bonus, increasing your strength also increases your equip load. Now that strength's out of the way, let's move on to dexterity. Dexterity can affect the attack power of weapons that scale with dexterity, of course, and it is needed for the use of specific items. Along with that, however, dexterity comes with a multitude of other bonuses. Increasing dexterity can not only reduce the amount of fall damage you take at times, but it can also reduce the time it takes for you to cast a spell. Pressing on, we come to the 2 types of magic attributes, intelligence and faith. If you've played Souls games before, you'll know exactly what this is. Starting with intelligence, intelligence is needed to perform certain glintstone sorceries. If you don't have the minimum requirement for some of these sorceries, you simply won't be able to use them. Of course, by increasing your intelligence attribute, you'll be able to boost the damage of those sorceries as well as weapons that scale with intelligence. Along with that, you'll also improve your magic resistance, and on the other side of the coin, faith is required to perform specific incantations. If you don't meet the minimum amount of faith required for an incantation, you simply can't use it. By increasing your faith attribute, you'll boost the damage of incantations as well as weapons that scale with faith overall. And last but certainly not least, we come to the arcane attribute, which mainly affects the discovery statistic. Discovery in this game is basically your item find percentage chance, which basically means that the higher this number is, the more likely you are to find an item on the corpse of an enemy that you've just killed. With the attributes out of the way, let's talk about classes. There are 10 different starting classes in Elden Ring, each geared toward a specific style of play. In this video, I'm only going to highlight a few of them which I think may be helpful to beginners. The first class I briefly want to touch upon is the Wretch class. This class begins at level 1, which of course makes it perfect for level 1 runs. It has 10 in every attribute across the board, and is a bit of a blank slate in that it doesn't lean in any type of way to any specific attribute. This class is good for those who don't know which sort of build they want to go for by the end game, but because it starts with low stats overall, it might be hard for some newcomers to adjust to. The next class I want to touch upon, which is arguably pretty good for newcomers, is the Hero class. Not only does this class start with high vigor and strength, it also starts with not only a weapon in the form of the axe, but a shield as well. All of those features of the hero class combine for a very forgiving class overall when compared to some of the others. If you're looking for a class that is somewhat similar to the hero class but focuses on dexterity instead of strength, I'd recommend the warrior. However, do be warned that the warrior doesn't have as high vigor and doesn't start with a stronger shield. If you want to focus more on magic builds, there are two key classes here that stand out. The first of which is the astrologer, which starts with 16 points of intelligence, or on the other side of the coin, the prophet, which starts with 16 points of faith. And as for the other classes that I haven't extensively highlighted, such as the bandit, prisoner, confessor, vagabond, and samurai, are all classes which seem to be quite middle of the road and don't heavily specialize in one or two stats altogether. Though I do briefly want to point out that if you want to go for a class that has some form of ranged attack without leaning into a magic-based build, both the bandit and the samurai classes start with bows. The bandit starts with a short bow and the samurai starts with the long bow. And the Uchigatana, of course, which I'm sure will sway many of you to start with the samurai class. But that is going to be it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below what class you're going to start Elden Ring with. Of course, if you enjoyed today's video, do be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing, as it all helps the channel out. With all that said and done, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you all next video.